What's going on, everybody? It's Denny Keltz again. I'm going to start this other thing now because I joined Toastmasters recently, where it's a worldwide organization. Basically, you can improve your leadership, your speaking ability, stuff like that, your overall communication skills. And so every time I have a speech, I'm going to come down. I'm going to make a little video and kind of go through the speech and the takeaways and kind of you know, give you a little bit of a rundown, not go through the exact speech, obviously, because I'm sitting in front of a camera instead. I'm not standing in front of a bunch of people, but I'll at least go through it. The name of the speech was actually called The Zone of Comfortable Complacency. So I actually got that from a podcast I was listening to a couple weeks ago, and they talked about the zone of comfortable complacency. So it gave me an idea. So I just kind of formulated it into my own ideology on what my idea is on how people get into this zone of comfortable complacency. So it's like kind of like like what is this zone of comfortable complacency? That's where you get comfortable, that's where you get complacent, that's where you start to get stagnant, that's where things don't change for the better, or even they start to digress, right? So they're not getting better, they're actually getting worse. This zone of comfortable complacency, it's where your dreams simply remain as dreams. It's where your you never really truly reach your potential as a human being. And this is where your comfortable life soon turns into a life filled with regrets, where you're looking back and saying, ah, man, why did I stay in that comfortable zone and just do all these things that I was okay with, and when I wanted to venture out and do something else. And a couple examples of how people get caught up into this zone of comfortable complacency, and then I can give you guys 3 tips on how you can basically get yourself out of this zone of comfortable complacency. Because to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I don't want to live in this zone of comfortable complacency, and I don't want you to either. So it's pretty straightforward. This is for the benefit of not only you guys, but myself as well, because I constantly need to be improving and trying to get out of my comfort zone. And I don't like this idea of being comfortable and getting stagnant and being like, oh man, I'm doing pretty good, I'm making good money and this and that. Like I just don't like that, and if you're somebody who has like a similar growth mindset as myself, then you're probably thinking the same thing. You're probably thinking, hey, how can I get better? How can I improve? How can I step out of my comfort zone? So a couple of examples is, maybe you just got into a new relationship and you're just watching Netflix way and eating ice cream like way more often than you should be. Or maybe you're oh, I'm gonna start my fitness journey like right away, but then you just keep telling yourself, you know what, I'm gonna push it till Monday. Yeah, I'll start on Monday. Monday's gonna be a better day. So don't fall into this trap, because any one of us can fall into this slippery slope of feeling cozy and self-satisfied and content with kind of where we're at in life. But just remember that that's the zone of comfortable complacency. That's not where you want to be, because that's where no growth happens. So you're not going to grow at all in that zone. So if you stay in that zone, that means you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then what? You're dying. Exactly. If you're not growing, you're dying. So you guys don't want to die. You want to grow. You want to thrive, right? The first thing and the easiest way to get out of this, first of all, you have to be courageous. So you have to have some courage to do uncomfortable and scary things and step out of your comfort zone, because it takes courage to actually want to go do something that's uncomfortable and something that's brand new to you, something you know nothing about and you haven't tried before. So remember, the first thing is you have to be courageous, and you have to have the courage to go and try something new, right? And look, keep in mind, this is not something that's super easy to do, especially if you're somebody who's stuck in this zone of comfortable complacency. And that's why when you're trying to work on your courage, I call it your courage muscle, because it is that at the end of the day. Like it's a muscle that needs to be trained. So, for example, like let's say you work on your legs Like if you're trying to build your muscles, let's say you're trying to build your quads, you can't build your quads by not doing quad focus exercises. So the same goes with your courage muscle is you have to do things that are courageous. So let's say you're in the workplace and you know you have to have this uncomfortable conversation with somebody about something, but you're just kind of like, no, you know what? I'm not gonna go talk to them. But I don't want to have this conversation, right? That's when you're tested. That's when you have the opportunity to strengthen your courage muscle and actually build it up. So then instead you say, you know what? I'm gonna go anyways. So regardless, the point is people miss this and they think that being courageous is just people that are fearless and they're not scared of anything, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The truth of the matter is that everybody has fear of doing these things. Like I said, it's uncomfortable and scary tasks. These are uncomfortable and scary things that you need to do as a human being if you want to strive and thrive and improve yourself. So that's where you need to do those little things, so to build that courage muscle, or if it's like, I want to start having cold showers. Okay, well, start with 10 seconds, start with something small, right? The point is you got to start with something small and not doing something more, something more than like biting off more than you can chew, right? Because then it makes it more difficult, because then you see this insurmountable task in front of you, right? It's like you got to look at this, like if you look at a mountain, like I don't know if you guys ever hiked and climbed a mountain, but like when you look at a mountain, you're like, holy crap, like that, it's a long way to go. But the focus is not to the top. It's what I got to focus on the next step. And then after that step, you take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. And then slowly, all of a sudden, you look back and you're halfway up the mountain. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, boom, you're at the top of the mountain. And then you look down and you're like, holy crap, like, how did I even accomplish that? And you can surprise yourself. So that's the first thing. You got to be courageous. You got to build that courage muscle. Second one is you got to have a target. You got to have a target that you're striving for. If you aim at nothing, you will hit 100% of the time, which also means you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you aim at nothing, then nothing's going to happen. So I think that's the problem that most people fall into, is that they don't actually have a target. They don't actually have anything that they're aiming towards. Like if you guys go to the shooting range, like you have to aim, and you're aiming for something. You're aiming for the target, for the little red dot in the middle. You're aiming. You're not just aimlessly shooting wherever. And that's the problem that most people fall into in their own lives, is they're just aimlessly they're not really shooting at anything. Actually, most people don't shoot at anything. So that's the first thing you guys need to focus on, is have a target. So like even as simple as shooting for a promotion at your current job, like whatever it is you're doing right now, it's like, why not do the best of your own ability as an individual? So do the best. So like if you're working at McDonald's right now, it's like, why not upgrade to supervisor? Why not upgrade, get a promotion to be the manager while you're there? If you're going to be there for a couple years and that's where your job is for now, it's like, why not be the best? But at least aim for that target. Set something in your sight and have a vision of like, okay, this is what I'm going to accomplish. I got to have a target, right? So that's one of the biggest things that people fail to do is actually setting a target. So if you want to strengthen that, like start by setting like a little target, like something for the week. Like, okay, I set a target and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read 10 pages of this book this week. That's my target. It doesn't even have to be 10 pages a day. Just this week, I'm going to read 10 pages. If you don't read it all, guess what? Start with something small, 10 pages. Next one is, hey, I'm going to start my fitness journey. Okay, well, what are you going to do? I'm just going to start my fitness journey at home, and I'm just going to do a 10-minute workout, twice a week. That's it. So again, you're starting with something simple. You're not doing, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, because you're going to quickly lose momentum, right? If you do that, if you set these massive targets right off the hop. And there's going to be people that are like, oh no, you got to set massive targets. Like, if you, I don't know if you guys know who Grant Cardone is, but he talks about like 10x and like set these insurmountable targets, stuff like that. But look, most people, they're not, they shouldn't be worried about some massive target. They should be worried about what's this little target that I can set, because you're not setting any targets at all. And you don't want to live your life aimlessly and setting zero targets and then accomplishing nothing. Because then at the end of the day, like I said, you look back and you have a ton of regrets on things that you wanted to try, and you just didn't have the courage to go try it, or you didn't set a target to go try it. Okay? So that's going to move into my third tip, and which is you have to take risks. So this is another thing that most people fail to do, because at the end of the day, anything in life worth having comes with a risk. The biggest question is that risk worth the reward? Okay? And starting that business is going to be a risk. Going to school because you want to be a psychologist, that's a risk. Not going to school is a risk because your parents told you otherwise. Getting married is a risk. Oh, what if I marry the wrong person? What if I get a divorce? Oh my God, that's a risk. Not getting married and living this whole human experience on your own is also a risk. What if you end up by yourself and you're depressed and you're sad and you have this lonely experience? It's like human beings are meant to connect with people, right? But again, I'm getting off track here, but you gotta be able to take those risks. Otherwise, you will accomplish nothing. So, third one is take some risks, and actionable step with that is go do something. Take a risk on something that you want to do. Like, I know people that are always talking about, oh man, I want to start doing some kickboxing, or like, oh, I want to join this yoga studio. It's like, but then they're so hesitant, and like, because they gotta get the courage to go do it, and then they just gotta take that risk. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable to start, but that's where you gotta just step out of your comfort zone and just go do it anyways. So this is how you can get out of this zone of comfortable complacency, right? And then where you're not complacent and comfortable with where you're at, and then you actually have an opportunity to grow and to improve in your life, which is what you want to do anyways. Because who doesn't want to improve and make their life better if that's a possibility? And at the end of the day, that is a possibility for you, because you're a human being, and every single human being has has the potential to actually live a blissful and amazing, beautiful life with, financial freedom. You're in touch with spirituality. You're physically strong. You're mentally strong. You have good relationships and connections with other human beings. Like, this is possible for everybody. It's just a matter of, doing the steps that it's going to take to get to where you want to be. So get out of that zone of comfortable complacency, okay? Because I don't want to be in there. And I know you guys don't either. And I hope you guys took some value out of this video. And yeah, hit subscribe and follow for more.